Things get a bit weird when we talk about read and execute permissions for directory. Usually, we will always set read and execute permissions for directories together, but both flags has different meaning. So here, for example, I have a directory. I've set read permissions for the users belonging to the group of the directory and execute permissions for other users. So what's the meaning of read permissions? The meaning of read permission, when we have read permission for a directory, we can see we can list the names of the files inside that directory, the name of the files, the name of the files and the directories inside that directory. So for example, here, this user belongs to the group and has only read permission. So if I try to list the contents, I can do that, but I will use the long version. Okay, I got this. Why? Because read permission with read permission we can access only the name of the files and the directory. So this is what we can access. The name of the directories, so I will show you the full content, the names and the directories inside of the files and the directories inside the directory, but we can't access other the rest of the information, the metadata of that file. We can access the inode, the owner, the permissions. That is set with the execute permission. The execute permission allows us to access that metadata and to change to that directory. But if we don't have read permission, we won't be able to see the names of the files in that directory. So for example, this user doesn't belong to the group. If I try to see the contents of the file, I won't be able to do that because I don't have read permission. But if I try to see the metadata of a file inside the directory, I can do that. So I will need to know the name of the file or the directory in advance, and then I will be able to access the name of the file. That is not very useful, so usually we both have the read and execute permission together. And the other permission is the change. The other permission we have with the execute permission is to be able to change to that directory. So if I try to with a user with only read-only permissions to change to that directory, I won't be able to do that because the user doesn't have the execute permission for that directory. But I can do this if I have execute permission, but I won't be able to see the contents of the file. That is not used often, so R and X permissions will often go together into the directories, but you can combine them to do different things, and it's important for you to know the meaning of each of those flags. Things get weirder when I try to access files placed inside a directory when we don't have read and execute access. So for example, imagine that I have this structure and I have a file here placed inside a subdirectory, and Kermit has only read permissions for this one, and Elmo has only execute permission. And if I try to, I see the contents of the file. Okay, those are the contents of the file. If I try to access that contents from Kermit user, let's see what happens. Okay, permission denied. We know that the file is there, but we can't see the contents because we can't change to dir one, and then if I can't change to dir one, I can't read the contents of sub1 because it's placed in a subdirectory of dir one. So I know the file is there, but I can't access the contents of the file. The same for something different will happen for Elmo. If I try to do that, okay, I can see the data. Why? Because Elmo can change to dir1, can change to the subdirectory, and although it can't see the name of the files in dir1, if we know that there is a directory called subdirectory inside it, we can put the name here and access to the contents of the file. So that's what happened when we have files and subdirectories inside the directory and we don't have read and execute access.